Never waste a good crisis. And when it comes to the economic crisis, don't waste it when it can have a very positive impact.
You never want a serious crisis to go to waste.
The way we're going to win over the long term is not just militarily. We've got to win over hearts and minds. And what that means is we've got to invest in countries that have no educational infrastructure, have no means for young people to get ahead. We've got to give them a stake in creating the kind of world order that I think all of us would like to see.
Stay tuned for politics and religion.
The nuclear treaty talks that have been ongoing for the last 30 days appear to be on the brink of failure. Talks on shoring up the global anti-nuclear arms treaty were on the edge of failure on Friday as the United States and its allies clashed with Egypt over a push to pressure Israel to scrap any atom bombs it has. For a month, the 189 signatories of the 1970 Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty have been meeting in New York in hopes of agreeing on a plan to shore up the troubled pact, which analysts say has been hit by Iran's and North Korea's atomic programs and failure by the nuclear powers to disarm. Now, let's make sure we understand the importance of this story. We're dealing with the weapons that could wipe all human, plant, and animal life off the earth 100 times over. There is enough nuclear weaponry sitting on the launching pads right now to destroy all life from the earth, not just human life, but human, plant, and animal life from the earth. That's what is at stake here. This particular conference is an attempt to shore up and to implement the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty designed to ultimately rid the world of nuclear weaponry. That's the reason that this particular meeting is so absolutely vital. However, it appears to be doomed for failure because so many people want to turn the results of this conference for their own particular ends. The latest draft of a final declaration for the NPT review conference calls for the UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon to organize a meeting of all Middle Eastern states in 2012 on how to make the region free of nuclear and other weapons of mass destruction as demanded by a 1995 Non-Proliferation Treaty resolution. So the focus of this entire meeting has been shifted to the Middle East and who has nuclear weapons in the Middle East. As far as we know, one power, Israel. So Israel finds itself in the spotlight every way the world turns, whether it's trying to break the Gazan blockade, now then with the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, it's all focusing on the nation of Israel. Now, there's supposed to be a nuclear meeting in the Middle East in 2012, a mere 2 years from now. However, Egypt, along with other Middle Eastern allies, is insisting, well, let me read it to you because it says it more succinctly than I can. The creation of a weapons of mass destruction free zone would eventually force Israel to abandon any atomic bombs it has. The Jewish state, which, like nuclear-armed India and Pakistan, never signed the NPT, is presumed to have a sizable nuclear arsenal, but neither confirms nor denies it. Israel is not participating in the NPT. Yet, Egypt is insisting that Israel will be specifically named as a target state in this new meeting that would be announced at the end of this particular conference. That's where the U.S. is digging in its heels and saying, sorry, we're not going to allow you to specifically target our friend Israel with this particular statement. But Egypt is threatening not to back down because there's a lot of political points to be made by standing strong on this particular issue. Now, why is this so important to you and me here at Politics and Religion? Because we know the international community invades Israel at the Battle of Armageddon, the world community. Now, that's what we're dealing with here. We're dealing with the world community against Israel, and the U.S. waffles from this side to that right now. We're not standing very strong. Barack Obama is the most anti-Israel president we've probably had in the history of our nation. So here we are, knowing that the world community will ultimately invade the nation of Israel for the Battle of Armageddon a few years from now. Do we already see the seeds of conflict between the world community and Israel? Obviously we do. And that's one reason that this particular story is so important today concerning what's happening in New York. The Bible prophesies that Russia and Europe will make up the heart of the end-time world government of the Antichrist. A recent article states that present economic woes are bringing Russia and Europe together. Are we witnessing the Russian-European alliance foretold in Scripture? We'll discuss it today on Politics and Religion.
Look, there are two things I don't discuss: politics and religion.
In my house, we don't talk about politics and we don't talk about religion.
I'll talk to you about anything except politics and religion.
I never talk about politics and religion.
Politics determines how we'll live here on earth. Religion determines how we'll live forever. I'm Irvin Baxter. I think it's time we talk about it.
Well, it's one of those days when the news matches the Scripture so perfectly that it's almost shocking, to tell you the truth. For a long time, we've been teaching that Russia would be an integral part of the one world governmental system that will be ruled over by the Antichrist, and that Russia would be joined together with Europe. But the news is reporting that today. I want to go to the script first so that you can see for yourself what the Bible actually says. It's Revelation chapter number 13, verse 1 and 2. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. And listen carefully. And all the world wondered after the beast. In Daniel chapter 7, verse number 23, it says that a beast symbolizes a